Up with KREM begins now.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham. We also want to welcome you in if you're streaming us on KREM 2+. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick here now to help us prepare for the day ahead. Thomas, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Tim. Weather-wise, another batch of some patchy fog. Feels like the same old, but this time around, a few more locations are being affected by this patchy fog. There are dense fog advisories for portions of Adams and Lincoln County. This kind of in the middle of some of our observation reports, where even on the outside of that spot, there are some reductions in visibility. We see this between Moses Lake up to Deer Park, Coeur d'Alene, and Spokane, kind of right along that I-90 corridor. There'll be some patchy foggy spots, some spots better than others, but there's pretty wide area of at least some visibility reductions. Make sure to keep your low beams on through the morning commute today.
Here's a live look at I-90 and Freya right now. This is right on the lower South Hill. Right now, it doesn't look like there's any major traffic situations in this area. It looks like the camera might be frozen there, but overall, not a bad commute here at 6:02. On Up with KREM, we do bring you weather and traffic together every 30 minutes. This morning, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas has hit a last-minute crisis. According to Israeli officials, the two sides are still working on confirming the list of Palestinian prisoners to be released. The three-phase plan is supposed to start Sunday. This morning, Netanyahu saying his cabinet will not meet to approve the agreement until Hamas backs down, saying it's gone back on some portions of the deal. Phase 1 of the plan would involve Hamas gradually releasing the first of 33 hostages over 6 weeks. Women, children, and the sick, as well as men over 50. In exchange, Israel will release more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners, ending eventually with the release of all hostages and Israel pulling out of Gaza. The deal is to be carried out by the incoming Trump administration, prompting this question from a reporter yesterday.
Thank you.
Who gets credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke?
A permanent end to the war and the release of all of the remaining hostages still need to be negotiated. This morning, reaction is pouring in from across the nation, including in Washington state by organizations who have been calling for justice and peace. Many advocates are saying they are cautiously optimistic about the deal, saying a ceasefire is right for the moment, but there is still work to do as the humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues.
I think that that's at the core of what we've been fighting for, is to allow Palestinians to live full lives. They deserve it. They're no less human than any of the rest of us.
With the release of hostages held by Hamas, Israel must also free dozens of Palestinians in Israeli jails. Stand With Us, an international nonprofit Israeli education organization, points out there are mixed emotions right now.
Obviously, tremendous relief about bringing a sense of closure to a very, very difficult ordeal, but still your heart is torn in two by the sacrifices that have had to be made in order to get simply these innocent people back into the homes that they belong in.
President-elect Trump is crediting his transition team for getting the ceasefire agreement over the line, with his inauguration day only days away now. Next Monday, all the living former presidents will be in attendance. Tech CEOs Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Mark Zuckerberg will also be there. The event starts at noon, our time. This morning, for the first time in 12 years, Washingtonians are waking up with a new governor. Yesterday, Gov Ferguson was sworn in. Governor Ferguson got right to work, signing executive orders after his speech in front of lawmakers.
And above all else, let us not be leisurely when the times call for action. Thank you for joining me in serving the people of Washington State.
In his inaugural address, Ferguson laid out some key challenges facing the state, including housing, public safety, and the budget shortfall. Ferguson's speech also won the support of some Republicans, some calling it a breath of fresh air after 12 years with Governor Jay Inslee.
Governor Inslee didn't paint that kind of picture when he gave his State of the State on Tuesday. He talked a lot about puppies and rainbows. But Governor Ferguson was honest, and I appreciate that.
Ferguson recognized some Republican-sponsored bills, including increasing funding to hire more police and putting limits on a governor's authority during emergencies. As we just mentioned, Governor Ferguson has already signed 3 executive orders. One of them directs the Department of Health to look into ways to improve protections for reproductive freedom. The second tells state agencies to take a look at regulations on housing, permitting, and new construction. The final order involves reforming the current permitting process and to speed up government. This morning, we are learning about the new House committee assignments for Eastern Washington's new representative in Congress, Michael Baumgartner. In his role, he'll handle U.S. domestic and foreign policy. He has been appointed to the House Judiciary Committee, the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, and the House Committee on Education and Workforce. Education being something Baumgartner has expressed pride for in the past.
Probably my favorite bill that we ever worked on was when we created the new WSU Medical School. So it was kind of
also serve on the subcommittee on courts, intellectual property, and the internet, as well as the subcommittee on administrative state, regulatory reform, and antitrust. Monday is a national holiday, and ahead of the upcoming holiday weekend, there's several events and closures you should know about in Spokane. KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones joining us now from the newsroom. Brandon, what should we know? Good morning.
Good morning, Tim. Well, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is often referred to as a day on, not a day off, to honor the work and service of the civil rights trailblazer. With that in mind, there are several opportunities for service here in Spokane. We'll start first with tonight. Spokane NAACP will be hosting its first meeting of the year. The local branch will be swearing in new leadership and discussing opportunities to engage in the community throughout the year. Sunday brings 2 different events. A commemoration service and celebration will begin at 3 p.m. over at the Holy Temple Church of God in Christ. At 6 p.m. you can join Fireside with Jamie Stacy from the Spokane NAACP at the Spokane North Stake Center. By the time Monday comes around, we'll have more coverage here on Up with KREM. The annual MLK Day Unity Rally, March, and Resource Fair will begin at 10 a.m. at the Spokane Convention Center. As for the holiday closure, Spokane City Hall, the county courthouse, and other city and county facilities will be closed. On-street parking meters will not require payment. Other services like trash pickup will proceed as usual. But for now, live in the newsroom, I'm Brandon T. Jones.